Yes.
Nice to meet
All right.
you.
All right. It's
And
good to
we are
meet you
on
too,
live.
brother. You got the brother on?
Welcome to D.M.T sessions with Isaac and Pimp Life and direct from the ether, observing the matrix from above, helping you navigate the system. It's time to unmatrix yourself. Time is now spiral into spiral out.
All right, people. That was our intro. We are live right now. Seems like everything is working. We have Mr. Gary Palmer in the house, aka Esoteric Heathen, me, Pim the Great, and Isaac 9 of our Matrix. You're on mute, by the way, now, Isaac. So if you want to talk, just unmute yourself first.
Oh yeah, this should be good. We got the brethren Gary here, Esoteric Heathen. He's gonna bring forth what he likes to, put into this reality, upgrading your reality. That's to unmatrix yourself and just to share what we have going on here with the DMT, Divine Masculine Terror.
Definitely, yeah. And for sure, I can tell you this: this guy is a very masculine guy. To be honest, I've been following Gary for like I don't know how many years, but I have to check on that. But I think at least like 3 or 4 years that I've been following you on Instagram. We have some chit chats here and there, but this is actually the first time that we are talking live on video chat like this, and this will be very interesting because I think especially for like I made a little intro today for this DMT session. A lot of people have all these conspiracies, right? We like to believe that me and Isaac, we are like of a matrix conspiracy realists, right? We look at the reality of things like data science, like we don't just judge on gut feeling. No, if there's no proof of it, we're not putting it out there. So basically, everything that you see on our accounts, like whether it's on Matrix on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you know, Isaac is gone again, but I'm sure he will join again. We have to have like the facts first, and of course, often we cannot really use all those facts in all the platforms that we are on. I notice now that also our friend or guest Gary Palmer is out of the building. I hope he'll be back in.
Okay, like the
Yeah,
connection went out a little bit here.
right. And now we're also our guest.
I don't think that's me, is it?
Connection.
Oh, what happened?
I'm sure he will be back any second now. But yeah, anyways, what I'm just was talking about, is that we don't like really going to the theories of conspiracy, right? We are more of the reality of conspiracies. If there's no data backing anything up, we're not gonna talk about it unless we might be able just to answer or ask a question to the public about it. So let me check real quick.
It's like you're breaking up here, brother.
I'm breaking up. You see me good now, or?
Okay, yeah, I think we got some connection issues here in the audio, unfortunately, and I can't see Gary up on the screen anymore.
No, he's not in the building right now. I'm gonna message him real quickly directly. All right, let's see if we can get him back on. Because of course he's the main guest of the show, so we want to ask him some nice questions, right? How are you doing, brother? How's your day?
Yeah, I can't hear anything you're saying. Yeah, I think our connection has been compromised.
Ah, crap. 1 second.
Wow, we're just 2-3 minutes in.
Right. What I'm gonna do then is create a different connection, which is my. So I'm gonna change my connection so that works.
Oh, this is crazy. We're live. Are we still live?
All right. I'm back in on a different connection. I just use my phone as for the
Okay, yeah, that's
connection.
what
Is it
I'm
more
using.
clear?
Yes, you're clear. I can hear you better now too. Yeah, I
Uh,
think the Wi-Fi is a little shaky. disruption.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that Gary can come back in because maybe his connection is gone. We're unlucky on that part. So there's one viewer that is checking us right now live. Thank you for having the patience to stay stay with us.
Yeah,
You are
I'll be
true.
waiting on. I'll be waiting on Gary to get back into the connection. Or
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to
okay,
message him right now to see if he can jump back in.
okay.
So I see we just have somebody else also streaming us live. So basically, our main guest was in the building, but he had to drop out, I guess, because of low connection. So we're trying to get him back in. Patience with us. Yeah, he's not responding on chat either, so that's a biggie. Oh well, that's the Matrix Live, right? We in and out of the ether.
Yeah, it's a glitch in the matrix.
That's the real glitch in the Matrix. Yeah,
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
yeah, that's the downside of going live sometimes, right? And now you're frozen for me, but I can hear you properly. I don't know.
Okay, can you?
Yeah, you're good. Okay.
All right, my screen good here.
Your screen is all good, so you just have to
Oh, that was
reboot.
unfortunate. We kind of started off with the connection issue here, but we'll persevere.
Of course, we will strive from this, right? Yeah, just try to get a hold of Gary. It's quite important for this episode. But yeah, maybe we can just have some talk on the meantime, about our relevant topics. So what do you think for like this? What's all going on right now with, for example, Twitter, right? Elon Musk took over, basically stepped in, changed some things, fired a lot of people, and now he's saying that most likely the company will lose billions in the coming year.
Oh yeah,
What's your thought on
that's
that?
that's all in relation to data, and as we present, the data is king. It's information that's being out here. Nobody's looking for heroes. Nobody's looking to be the savior. Nobody's coming to save you. People are looking for that information. But the thing is, you have too much information, not enough transformation. So balance is key. That's how I look into the Twitter, unmatrix concept.
Right.
Everything is in a sense of the unmatrix concept when I, step into the, you know, mainstream trends and media and Twitter. And most people don't realize or understand that Elon Musk, is pretty much working with, you can say, negative forces or a different faction that's not in the best interests of the people. You know what I mean? So we're here to expose certain things of that. Bringing the for out of darkness comes the light. You know what I mean?
Exactly, brother. And that's what I've been. Yeah, I've been over the years. Actually, I think I've been saying that multiple times, even before this whole hype, right? That that Elon Musk is like a humanoid. He's not like officially human. Let's put it like
Yeah,
that.
it's hijacked.
He's definitely hijacked, and he for sure works with some negative forces. And of course, that it's kind of robotic, right? Most of the negative forces work like robots. So that makes it very interesting, like why a guy like this is always interested in technology. So that says a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah, I just got a message from Gary, our guest,
Okay.
that his power went out. So he's trying to get it back on, and then he will jump in the live again, and then we can
Wow,
actually
that's
see.
interesting. Right. It was 2 minutes and 22 seconds during that whole connection issue. So I was
OBS
watching
was
it.
started back then. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
created a
the real
glitch,
thing.
created a literally glitch in the matrix.
Correct, correct. We're all glitzing here sometimes. But yeah, no, I mean like that. I find it funny how it all comes together, right? Like, was of course our previous episode, we especially talked on about the excuse me, about the whole Kanye West situation, right? And now again, like look what he's saying now. Like first, basically he was telling him himself, Our guest is back, I see. I'll add him in the stream. All
Oh,
right.
there he is. All right, back again.
Sorry
You're
about that,
again in
guys.
the Matrix.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more time, I will once again just show our intro so we can start a little bit from scratch, and then let's get in on. All right, cool. Here we go.
Welcome to D.M.T sessions with Isaac and Pimp Life and direct from the ether, observing the matrix from above, helping you navigate the system. It's time to unmatrix yourself. Time is now spiral into spiral out.
And there we are. We're back in the show. Finally, everybody seems to be having a good connection and the power right. Mr. Gary Palmer, aka Esoteric Heathen, is in the building. How did you like the intro, brother? What did you think of it?
I like that. That's dope, man. I like that.
Cool. We actually had an AI to talk it in for us. It's not our own voices. I just wrote it down. It's like, cool, boom, put it out there.
It works. It works great, man. It just sounds so. It's kind of retro, kind of with a modern feel. You know, I like it.
Right.
It's
Cool.
that unmatrix style, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You're winging it, going with the flow. But anyways, thank you for having you on the show. You're actually our first guest on this show. So the previous
Oh
Official.
show
wow.
was me and Isaac. So the honor is all yours. and
Yes, absolutely.
and ours to have you on because yeah, like what I was saying before, actually I've been following you for some years, right?
Yes.
I always noticed like I already always dig basically your vibe and like I noticed your whole transition from pictures, right? Especially like I would say like I would describe majority of your posts, at least on Instagram, as like mood board. You know, you create certain scenes, certain scenarios with your outfits, and also from that I can think it's your own kind of clothing line, right? I believe it's American Religion called. I don't know if it's still active or not, but you can talk into that part, of course, yourself. But then from there on, I just noticed that you actually started to go more, record yourself, talk about like esoteric topics, right? And of course, for sure, therefore came also the name Esoteric Heathen, right? And then I also thought, like, you know what? This is something I actually should do myself as well more. So you really definitely inspired me to be more like outspoken and start recording myself because I'm really not really the type of person that loves to be like in the spotlight and be outspoken. But if we're not gonna do it, who will, right? Certain topics is just like that. I feel like okay, people are not touching on this, and I think it's very important that we do. So you definitely inspired me on that point, brother. And I think it's good for you. Yeah, basically, if you could maybe introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and our followers. And
Ah, well, I like I said, I'm honored. I can't thank you enough, you know, for the compliments, because it's been vice versa from me, you know, and I think we kind of watch each other grow a little bit, you know, and so transition, you know, that we're evolving. It's nice to be able to see the process, you know. But yeah, you know, like you said, I, I a little bit of built up and decided to start telling the world what I thought, you know, my ideas, and it wasn't necessarily that, you know, I felt that I had all the answers or whatever, but it started out as you know, hoping that I could inspire one person.
well, you definitely did. You definitely at
But
least inspired me. So I hope you inspired a lot more of the people following you. Maybe also as quick second advice, because of course we're all learning on this as well, because this is only the second episode that we record like this, and this is a new platform. But I think for you, Isaac, like when somebody is talking, also for me, I'm doing the same. Let's put ourselves on mute because I think there's some echo sometimes. Then we are for sure that we can only hear one voice. But anyway, so like yeah, I'm very curious. Like the name itself, like Esoteric Heathen. Where does it come from? What's your idea behind it? Behind the whole hidden part, especially, I guess.
well, obviously the esoteric is self-explanatory, you know, that that knowledge, you know, that's it's just not given to everybody. Not everybody understands it or can see it, you know. Some people gotta, you know, work at it. It comes natural to some people, you know. But the heathen part was basically just like, I don't really have any set curriculum, anything that I just take a little bit from everything, whatever,
Right.
speaks to me is what I take. So I consider myself somewhat of a heathen. And I know there's a lot of people out there like that I would consider esoteric heathens that just don't really have a home. They don't have like, one set philosophy that they, abide by, but they sort of rape and pillage all of the different philosophies and you know what I'm saying? And basically it's about personal revelation. That's really what it's about. It's not about conforming to any doctrine or any religious system. It's about receiving our own personal revelation, the way that God meant it to be. Being able to come into communication with that, that God, that inner God as well. And letting that breathe a little bit.
Right, I definitely feel that. And personally, me, I look at it the same way. Like, I can say this out, outspoken. Like me personally, for example, I was raised as an atheist. Like my parents were raised like religious. I was raised as an atheist, but I myself became like agnostic, eventually like agnostic. Right, so I understand the whole way how you put it down, like the human part. Like you don't want to be per se part of a certain religion where you take a bit of everything. I do the same myself, and I think that connects the most dots. I don't know about you, Isaac. What's your feeling on that, on the whole Heathen label?
Yeah, his whole explanation and description was what we manifest in, like, real magic of the unmatrix yourself, because we take everything and nothing at the same time, and it's to know everything and nothing at the same time. So what makes you, I'm this guru, or I'm this, high and mighty prophet and things like that. It's like you come to your own understanding, right? You understand to overstand, and that's what makes you become that unmatrix yourself. You're not escape artists. We don't need certain, psychedelics and, things to get us to a certain point. The work is done when you integrate your information to transmute yourself. You know what I mean? So I was like, wow, esoteric heathen. Now I understand what the heathen really means. It's like he's another branch of the unmatrix tribe. You know what I mean? So this brother right here is on that level, and I wasn't aware of Gary until Pim the Group, Pim the Great brought it, into this existence. So that's that real magic, because we're out here. You're not alone. You know what I mean? So I look at being
One fight
alone
the
as
other.
all one. It's all one wholeness.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that.
And it's we ask, some people might say, why is it, why do we do this, why does it even matter? Well, I mean, it's because it's about the progression of humanity. uh, Humanity is just not going to be able to progress if it's not able to have these conversations and move past the superstition and the false thinking and the narratives. We got to have these conversations.
Right. And here's a trick question though, because personally I'm Dutch, right? So do you have any Dutch or Germanic ancestries, Gary?
My lineage is from like Iceland, um, toward that way. I have a lot of German as well in my
Because
ancestry.
if you know what heathen actually where it comes from, because if you look at the etymology of heathen, right, it
Yeah,
comes from the Dutch word heiden, and you know what the hei is? The heiden, that is the lavender fields. So we have like these lavender fields, and that's where the whole story comes from. Barbarians, they uh, they say basically that we're living on these heiden, the hay, the lavender fields, and because they were not religious like the Romans and the Greek were, they were heathen. So that's just for the people that wants to know some, etymology and real history about that word itself.
I like that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're more than welcome, brother. But anyways, like of course we also showed in the the thumbnail of this video and the name of the title of this video, interview with a Freemason. So from my understanding, you are a Freemason. I don't know how much you can talk about it and how much in depth you can go with that. But we're just curious to see, play a little bit like devil's advocate and see what you can say and whatnot. Because yeah, first of all, once again, like I tried to start in the beginning, right? Like we are not just conspiracy theorists at our matrix, right? We look at the data and the facts and base, whatever we put out there on that. So of course, like when people say, that every logo, every symbol is, Masonic, it's like no. If you really trace things back, often it's not at all. It's more like that. A lot of Masonic lodges, adopted certain things, right? And therefore, also, I think that that's a little bit the issue with a lot of things that for example, that logos and symbols are referred to being evil. Well, in my mind, that's impossible. Like there's some sigils that you can say that's evil because you can summon some energy and some deities and entities and whatnot that might be evil. Veil, thinning the veil, taking something from the other side in here. But just in general speaking, we're not the type to say Freemasonry is evil and everything is Masonic. No. So we're just curious about if we can have a discussion on that part. And yeah, first of all, I would say so if you are a Freemason, can you let it know? And also, like, can you say, for example, if you like, of course, like, what is your degree and what is, your lodge? If you don't want to say that, then don't say it. We're not throwing you under the bus or anything. But yeah, this if you can talk a little bit about that, this whole idea in general, that would be cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I am Freemason. I'm just a third degree Master Mason, and I've never been a worshipful master, so that would pertain to knowing all of the lodge work, all the ritual.
Not yet, not yet. There's always a possibility, right?
There is, yeah. It just has to do with a lot of memory, and a lot of dedication for that. And with my work schedule and stuff, it's hard to commit to that right now. But perhaps sometime. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been a Mason for I think going on 3 years now. So it's been pretty cool learning a lot of stuff about it. And but like you were saying, there's you can connect a lot of dots that aren't really should be connected. You know what I'm saying? And all the symbols in the corporations and stuff like that, you have so many conspiracy theories about, oh, it's Masonic, it's the Masonic Illuminati, they're all at the head of this stuff. And well, I mean, what are we going by here? Are we going by assumptions, or are we going by, it's like the Bible, for example. It's really hard to prove a lot of stuff in the Bible happened. But if there is enough coincidences, that's enough for some people, like that's the evidence. Enough coincidences equal truth. And that's just it's not how it works in the real world, there has to be sound evidence that, yeah, direct connection. But yeah, I don't give it any credence. Being a member myself, I've learned that basically, people become Masons for different reasons. Some of them go to be social. Some of them go to have something to do. They like the lodge work, and they like to remember all the stuff. It's just, for some people, it's a good old boys club. Some people want to learn more. But
Yeah, exactly.
it's not the Illuminati and all that stuff. It really isn't. I mean, and like you were saying, I grew up listening to like Bill Cooper and stuff like that, and that was a lot of my inspiration. Honestly, like the stuff that he was saying that was dark and bad, I was like intrigued by it. And I just I because I didn't really believe in a literal interpretation of religious figures and stuff like that. So I knew it had to mean more, and I knew that the people that created these mystery schools and these secret fraternities and stuff, I knew they couldn't be dumb enough to believe that it was all literal. There had to be some deeper message behind it, you know. And so that's what I was interested in. I didn't give any credence, or I did not care at all about oh, you better be careful because you're going to burn in hell. I mean, I didn't believe in a literal hell. So that's where people, that's the kind of minds that get caught up in this stuff, are the people that take it literal, and they're kind of superstitious,
Yeah, right. I fully understand that. So could you say that actually, like growing up and listening to like Bill Cooper, intrigued you to the point of joining Freemasonry, or what is actually what made you join Freemasonry? And did you get like an invite, or you really had to knock on the door?
Well, see, and that's another thing, is when you listen to these people on YouTube that say they try to expose the Masons. Okay, well, a lot of times their stories don't even add up. Like the one guy was saying, I heard he said he was invited to become a Mason. No, that's not how it works. You have to ask. It's just it's a it's just common knowledge amongst Masons. You can tell a fraud because that there's just certain things we don't do. We don't proselyte. Um, so you could tell right there that that's right. And if these people want to say they were Masons and claim that they're Mason, I mean, look, I have right here a union. This not a union, sorry. This is my Mason's due card. I mean, all you have to do is show your dues card if you want to prove you're a Mason. I mean, it's not, I've never seen any of these people on these YouTube videos say, here's my dues card. I was actually a real Mason. And,
We have a premiere then in the show. This is the first time this will be on YouTube that somebody actually showed a card. So,
well, perhaps, yeah. But I didn't show the other side because it's got my personal information. But, and a lot of these people, they on Instagram and stuff, they all want to say, what lodge you from? Shout out your lodge. I don't believe that that's a safe practice. So, there's been a lot of bad things happening with lodges and stuff. So I don't want to be the reason that people put a lodge out there,
No, we don't want to either. Like, once again, we're not trying to throw you on the bus or anything, and we don't have, like a conspiracy that we say like, oh, all the Masons are behind it. We're not the type, But of course, like, we have to be honest that there's a lot of people involving in conspiracies that are Masons, right? And that's also of certain levels and certain lodges. And me personally too, I know some Masons of some degrees that are involved in some techie shit, but I will never say like Masonry is evil or something like that. It's like there's people that are evil, and of course, like from my own experience, I would say that if you look at any brotherhood, any mystery school, there are people that join it for gaining certain knowledge, and there's people that join it for gaining power, right? And they can abuse that, of course. Like, if you seek power, most times people that seek power abuse power. But people that merely are in there to gain knowledge and share it, that's something different. I don't know how you, Isaac, look at that, but for me, I see it always like a division of two types of people joining this kind of brotherhoods, mystery school, and fraternities, cults, whatever you want to call it, whatnot. What's your point on that one, Isaac?
For me, I know I have been interested in that growing up. Same as well with Gary and his way of looking at videos and things with Bill Cooper. And during that time, I used to think like, okay, how much of this is really advanced and what's like this basic instructions? You know what I mean? So going back on the Bible aspect, I look at the Bible as the acronym basic instructions before leaving Earth. So I'm thinking like, okay, you're reading the Bible. It's like, this is basic. I'm looking for more of the advance. Where's the advanced knowledge at? Is it outside of myself? Is it external? And I look more within. The body of God, the heaven is within you. And I'm thinking, okay, why do I need to be a part of like some type of group, some type of deal? I mean, everybody has their own reasoning, but I want to get to the real, like the meat and potatoes. I want to get to that primordial, that alchemical existence, you know. And if you're thinking about, joining certain, things like that to gain knowledge, knowledge is power. And like Pim said, with great power comes great responsibility. And I say 90 to 95% of these individuals don't even apply the knowledge. So it's like, where's your power? you know? And it's like,
True
okay,
that.
you're a conspiracy theorist. Like, no, I'm a conspiracy realist because there's some things that does not need to be shared. I know Gary knows certain things that does not need to be shared on this live, and I understand that. But most people like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what's going on. It's like, okay, I mean, there's no ego here. Once you get into that mindset of this unmatrix, this movement, it's like there is no ego. You may have something that I need, I may have something you need. It's like everybody has a certain level to the truth. There's no truth. There's no religion higher than truth. you know and people that join certain religion and things like that, okay, that's their level of consciousness, that's their sense of separation in the way. But once you get into the spirituality aspect, you get into the meta spiritual aspect, it's like you're beyond certain physical existence of going to some establishment or group. But everybody has their level of consciousness, and that's why I look at it. I look at it to where it's like you just get what you need, see what works for you, then you apply that to your own, personal experiences, you know. And if you're, a certain type of person to be involved into this Masonic groups and things of that nature, that's their level of consciousness. That's where they project their devotion. It's not a mission or assignment and purpose. And that's another thing that I'm getting away from. Like, oh, what's your purpose? What's your mission? What's your your reason of being here? It's like your devotion should be that which you apply towards making yourself a better individual, mentally, physically, and spiritually. That's your devotion to matrix yourself is what I represent. Gary's devotion is a possible different way of unmatrix yourself. And Pim the Great has his own possibility of unmatrixing himself. But we combine to be like that one brotherhood, it's that one connection, regardless of Gary being a Mason or not. We respect each other. That's what it is. That brotherly love is wisdom, beauty, and strength.
Definitely,
Yeah.
beautiful said, brother. And that's what we call the Matrix tribe. And for me, definitely, Gary, you're part of that tribe. So, welcome to the
Appreciate
club.
it.
You're
Thank you,
more than
brother.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
So, any
And
word from you on that? I'm very curious.
yeah, it's man, he nailed it really, because that's really what it's about. Like, if you're not ascending and progressing, then you're placing yourself in a box. Whether it's a fraternity or a religion, um, you know, it should be a stepping stone, really. Because really, even if I decided, hey, I'm done with the Freemasons, it doesn't interest me anymore. Um, I'm still going to keep my tattoo because it's been a part of my journey. You know what I'm saying? It's part of who I am. And it's the philosophy that really matters. But, like you can find all of the so-called mysteries of Freemasonry online. I mean, they're not hard to find, For example, I have this book, this it's Secrets of the Freemasons, and it's got all the grips in it. It's got all the passwords in it. Okay, you have all these conspiracy theories, mostly Christians, and they want to learn all of these secret handshakes, and they want to learn the passwords. Okay, now what? Yeah, you have these, the grips and the passwords. What does it mean? They have no idea what it means. and they're
So
missing the whole
they're
point.
saying, right, that sorry to interrupt you, but they're saying that if I go to your lodge, whatever lodge that might be, if I say my name is Hiram Abiff, I get in. Is that true?
No, no, that's not true.
Ah, snap! Another conspiracy false.
Yeah, that's one of the silliest things I've heard, man. Nah, that's not accurate. Um, there's not any way to get in a lodge unless you're a member. You know, you can either show your dues card, you know, that you're a member, or you can be tried by a brother in the lodge to see if you know your work. You know, because you got to remember all the ritual work verbatim. You got to remember all of it verbatim, and some of it's not even stuff that's written down. So if a brother's, you know, pulls you aside and says, all right, let's test your grips. You know what this means. You know what this one means. You know, what's this one called? What's this one called? And then they want to try to see, you know, how proficient you are at remembering the ritual work. They can question you on that stuff, and if you can't do it, then you don't get in. You know,
But I mean, like if you look on YouTube, you can find like the rituals of the first 3 degrees, right? I
you
don't know if
can.
that's still accurate, but as far as I know, even though I'm not a Mason, like to put it out there, I'm not a Mason. I know those rituals, but of course, like the actual work, what you're saying exactly yourself, you know that you have to memorize, right? It's very extent, and I think indeed, like if you want to progress very fast up the ranks, yeah, you need to first of all have a very good memory, right? And you really need to study hard because it's a lot of material that you need to memorize, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to short it all up, right? Is there? No, let me put it like this. What is the benefit of being a Mason? I'm not trying to sell Freemasonry to the world, but just you as a Mason yourself, you know, what's your personal view on the benefits of being a Mason?
Well, I mean, to be really honest with you, it's different for everybody what that benefit would be. I think, um, like Isaac was saying, it should be a journey of progression, and really, hopefully, it would be a stepping stone for that person. But like you said, you guys were mentioning some of the benefits, if that's what you'd want to call it. Like it would have to, a lot of it would be social benefits, things like that. Meeting people, branching out in the community, stuff like that. Um, but it depends. I mean, so many people join for different reasons, hate to sound boring about it, but that's really all it is, because Freemasonry is not this thing that people try to get it out to be, a lot of the members, they could care less about the deep meanings of things, they're there to fellowship and to have some green beans and play cards, and they just want to, go upstairs or wherever their lodge is and do some ritual work and try to keep the lodge alive. I mean, that's just the honest part of it. I mean,
Mhm. So talking about rituals, right? Because I know a lot of conspiracy will, of course, tap on this, right? And they will say like you're summoning up demons there in your lives. Have you ever summoned up a demon?
no, no,
Ah, snap! Another false conspiracy theory. At least the first 3 degrees, right? You cannot say about the 33 degrees, right? Because that's of course what they're all aiming for. Like they say, the first three, everybody can do that. But if you're 33, then you're in you're close bonds with the devil. You're one on one with the devil on the daily, right? On speed dial.
right. And part of my fascination with Freemasonry was wanting to see what it really was about, you know, and that's why I joined, because I wanted to see, like, really what all does it entail? What does it reveal? You know, and you know, like I was saying, a lot of people, they aren't even into it for the deeper stuff. So you don't get explanations for this stuff. I mean, it's like, any mystery, right? You have layers of the onion, and you have the outer layer, which is basically just the basic explanation for things. And they're really boring explanations, and they don't reveal any inner knowledge or self-knowledge or knowledge of truth, you know. It's mostly just like, you know, stuff, how you govern your life in a good way, try to be a good human being, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to get to the really deep stuff, you got to do that on your own, you know.
Right. But then also, do you ever feel like of course, you touched the whole, you know, that concept on the onion, you know, the layers, of course, it can also, say branches of industry, right? But do you feel like Freemasonry is like a stepping stone for like a real occult? You know, like for example, the Golden Dawn, Rosicrucianism, you know, Knight Templars, Knights of Malta, etc. Or what's your feeling? Have you ever seen, for example, a Lodge member really go fast up the ranks and suddenly he's behind the veil?
Nah, nah. It's just not. It's not all the hype. It's made out online, and it's so disappointing. You know, to be honest with you, because it's really not like you don't have all these people climbing up the ladder to get into the Illuminati and stuff. Now, like you were saying, you know, there's probably some Masons that are part of, you know, bad things going on, just like there's probably Christians that are, you know, parts of bad things going on, or whatever organization you're a part of, you know. I mean, you know, I mean, look at the Catholic Church. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, suspicious stuff goes on in there, but you can't say all of them are like that. There's a lot of good Catholics out there, you know, just good human beings.
Right. But of course, like you of course, especially all these conspiracy theorists always say, you know, that Freemasonry is like worship of Lucifer, right? Like in the beginning, you actually touched on this word, like light, right? Don't share the light with everybody. So of course, if you listen to Bill Cooper, right, and how he broke it down, he says light stands symbol for knowledge, right? And then you have the term Lucifer, which means that the light bearer, right? The one that's bearing the light. So is it true that in some extent, like that's a Luciferian worship? Like what Freemasonry is about? Is it a religion at all, or what is your take on that in general? What is it?
Well, it's not a religion, regardless of what people say. Um, you know, it's just not. But to be honest with you, you can find whatever you want in Freemasonry. So if you want a religion, you can find it, but it's not a religion. But you can find, you know, philosophy if you just want a philosophy, if you just want some way of life, whatever you're looking for, it's there in Freemasonry, because Freemasonry encompasses just about everything, you know. If you look at the symbols, it just about covers everything. And really, it was just another thing for me after becoming a Mason, where I realized that, you know, I have to keep going further. I can't stop at Freemasonry, you know, because, you know, just like on my channel, it's about personal revelation, you know. And that's what I'm just trying to be an example of how you can receive your own personal revelation. You don't have to join a fraternity, you know, you don't have to join any group. And really, you don't want to join any group, to be honest with you. You know, if you're really seeking ultimate communication with self and God, I hate to say those two things separately, self and God. I mean, everything is one, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's just not all hype people do. I don't even get into that. I'm not. I understand the curiosity about it, but it's actually kind of boring. Other than, you know, really into the work, you know, symbolism is interesting and where it can take you. But it is kind of boring, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that. What is your take on that, Isaac? I'm sure people also love your word because Isaac is always like very the silent dude, just on the sideline. But when he taps in, he goes deep. So I just have to bring him
Yes.
on sometimes. You're still on mute, by the way, Isaac. So if you can speak on that, that would be great.
Oh yes, the observation. Observation is key. And when you have observation, you're not analyzing everything. What is there to analyze? Just observe. If it doesn't resonate with you, then move along. If this person, has something that they're involved with, that they're, seeking to, bring themselves into this greater sense of enlightenment or illumination. Illumination is just having that higher sense of knowledge. We're all Illuminati if you think about it. If you're seeking knowledge, right? You're illuminated. It's
Yeah.
not like somebody's on this high level, like, oh my God, he's a 33rd degree Mason. Oh my, he's a high level this and that. I'm like, you're also on a higher level and don't even know it. Most people are afraid of their own power. And that's what the unmatrix represent, to show you that, you can step into your power. What is they're afraid of? You don't have to follow these idols, these celebrities, these so-called superstars. I mean, you're the one that they need. Like they need us, which is crazy. You know, they need us to fulfill
Yes,
their, so-called, stardom, which is more of a star doom. You know what I mean? Because they're controlling certain dominions, right? And when you get people,
right.
like us, that's on this live, that brings forth this sense of information and knowledge, it opens up, it puts that glitch into the matrix because it's out there, it's into the ethers, it's into the the technology, the humanity's existence, you know so we can bring that sense of order, without being like, oh, okay, we don't have this high popular platform. Unmatrix isn't like booming, similar to Andrew Tate. We don't get the clout, we don't get the likes, but we're not chasing likes. We're chasing the light. That's the illumination. We're the real true Illuminati that's out here on the front line. You know what I mean? And we're just regular people. We're normal. I'm not this high and mighty. Like, man, he's like tapped in, man. He's like on a whole nother different level. Like, no, we're all on the same level. It's just different, areas of consciousness that we're, connected with. It's the certain levels of degrees, which is similar to the Mason of Gary is connected with. There's degrees to this. You know what I mean? Some people are ascending, some people are descending. Balance is key. Some of us need to descend to get to that higher level of ascension. Me and Pam, we've been in certain, areas of the entertainment industry or military, so forth. We know like the ascensions and the descension. And people don't look at like just what we are on live right now. I mean, there's certain things that, we're tapped in, that we don't need to share, but it's like we're bringing that certain information out here to unmatrix yourself. Transmutation of the meat suit.
Right, and that's very interesting as well because like when you talk about celebrities and the common folks with their conspiracies, the first thing they will say, for example, like oh, Jay-Z is Illuminati, right? And yeah, he's a Freemason. I think he's actually a Prince Hall Freemason, but he's like only third degree. So what does that say then, right? Like if third degree already makes you Illuminati, then a large percentage of this world is Illuminati.
Yeah. I believe Illuminati had three goals. I don't know if you guys recall those goals, but they've all been accomplished in America. There was a claim that Freemasonry was infiltrated by the Illuminati, and that it was basically taken over by the Illuminati. And the Illuminati's goal, they had three, and they're already all established. I think one of them was like equal rights for women, education, world education, and another one. I can't remember what it is. I would encourage people to go look that up. But so it's like, sounds like they've already conquered everything.
I guess that's why they're behind the veil. This is already said and done. Like they can relax now, and enjoy their gains.
Right.
So like this, you have, I don't know if you know this book from Max Heindel, but personally I really love it. You know what is it? Catholicism and Freemasonry. Have you read that book? Have you heard of it?
I have not.
No, but anyways, like what he's saying in there, because Max Heindel was supposed to be like 33 degree Mason from Europe, and he's like dividing the people in general into two group types. Those that were like the sons and daughters of Eve and Adam, and those that were the sons and daughters from Eve and Samuel, aka Lucifer or whatever you want to call it. And he basically says, you know, that the ones that came from Adam are the waters of faith. They're religious, they believe in God, not in hard work, just faith alone, and therefore their will get done eventually, and they don't mind to get, you know, sacrificed in this physical life because behind that is like paradise and all of that, right? And then you have the sons of a widow, how they put it. That's the ones that came from Samael, because then Samael is out of the picture. I don't know if that's also you ever heard of that, like that they say, you know, Masons are the sons of a widow, but at least that's what he claims that the Freemasons are. Maybe you're aware of that term,
Well,
right? But
I'll say it like this: like, obviously it's all symbolism.
right,
So, a son of a widow, basically you're looking at the story of Horus, and it's like it's like the father is not there. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost like an immaculate birth. You know what I'm saying? Um,
right. Well, actually, the first part I really did not hear at all. I don't know about you, Isaac, but the connection was very choppy. But now I can hear you properly. So if you could repeat that, that would be awesome. But because I did not hear one word actually.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's basically like a fatherless child, you know, and that father is unknowable, you know.
Right.
That's really what it's about, and it's about the son learning his identity, his connection to his father, and we all know who that is, what that is, That's I've been getting into a lot.
I know that we all know that, but I don't know if our audience also.
Right.
If you, I don't know if you can, but if you want to talk about it, then please go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're going in a little bit too deep here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
so.
can
Maybe
I
so.
can feel the tension with the energy right now because
Right.
to chime in like what he's saying, like my son, think about it, it's like my son. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think we're getting closer and connecting and bringing forth that higher knowingness online right now.
Right. Well, we have, of course, a lot of interpretations of the word Freemason, right? Whether they came from actual masons, builders, right? And you can take that literally, or like in indeed, like in the in the spiritual form, building up your temple, your body, right? And then, of course, you also have the pre-Masons, right? Yeah, I'm gonna put this common one in because we actually have live chat here. So Bill Cameron says, "Great, because that's why we are here." This guy for sure wants to go as deep as possible. But then, of course, like we cannot really share everything all the way in depth, and it's not because we don't want to. But once again, we're not throwing anybody under the bus, just like that, right? So we're touching on the subjects and possibilities as is possible. But Gary Palmer is our guest and our friend, so we're not gonna make any possible harm come to his ways. We have to make sure of that, right? Because we don't want to hear any takeoff stories. So let's not do that. Let's keep it friendly in here. But
But
yeah, anyways, yeah, go ahead, please.
if you really wanna, discuss all, masonry in depth, Freemasonry, I mean, all you got to do is talk about, Egyptian mystery teachings, really. I mean, talk about that and you got it all covered.
I totally agree with you on that, and I find it also like when we got to gonna talk, for example, about Bill Cooper, right? I really was a fan of his show, The Hour of the Time, and in one of his shows, I don't know which number because there's literally thousands of his shows, right, that he recorded over the years, but he said there was like a break like in humanity and the timeline when the whole Egyptian culture basically arose, right? And there's a lot of people that says that the Egyptians had contact with you know aliens, IT, or divine angels, whatever you might want to call it. But I think we can all agree, that on that part of the timeline in human history, something changed, right? And I think that's also why a lot of these mystery schools adopted a lot of their knowledge and symbols, and even though right now we of us, we don't really know exactly where that knowledge came from, but I think we can all agree upon that, it came from somewhere else, whether that's internally or physically outside of here, right? But I don't think it just came to humanity just like that, like something standard, right? I think it's the same thing as when we discovered as humans fire, right? And of course, you can take that two ways. That you can take that literally, and can take that esoterically, hidden, as knowledge, etc. Light again, of course, and the whole worship, and that of course taps down in also why like almost all religions, almost all cults, they worship the sun or light or something in that matter, right? And you can spell sun with a U and you can spell sun with an O, but it goes down the same way, right? What's your thought on that, Gary?
Well, you probably remember Jordan Maxwell talking about the lazy O, right? It's basically a
Right.
U. So that was interesting too,
Yes.
But
Definitely.
really what it's all about is getting past the symbolism, It's about understanding the symbolism, And so that's what's a little bit aggravating about the whole Freemasonry thing is that there's people are so exoteric, and they get hung up on things that they shouldn't be, because really it's about progression and elevation and ascending. And you look at these people and they're just caught up in all this stuff that, oh, this is evil, and that's, this is they worship Satan or Lucifer. And they basically will say they worship Lucifer because of Albert Pike's quote about Lucifer. And if you just read the whole thing, you'll see he's talking about Venus. I mean,
Is
it's
that not the
ridiculous.
same? Like, is Lucifer not the same as Venus?
Well, I mean, according to the folklore, but yeah, I mean they
Morning
claimed
star,
it.
right?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
then again, Jesus is also named the morning star, right? If you like, for the people that actually read the Bible, because like I'm not even Christian, but I think I know more of the Bible than the majority of most Christians,
Yeah.
and those type of things are in the Bible, right? But the majority just reads over it or doesn't read their Bible at all, so they probably don't know. So there, of course, then also if you come to like label certain things like as evil, but then again your so-called hero is called the same, that's a, a tricky situation then, right?
Yeah, and people getting caught up in the world of duality, Um man, that's what really kills me. And that's part of why I like the term esoteric heathen as well. Is because you don't have to adhere to any sort of creed. You don't have to adhere to any type of way of living. You have so many people that put so much focus on how much they meditate, how well they eat, all this stuff. And trust me, I understand the importance of that, because if you really want to have an ultimate connection with the divine, you really want to have your capacities to be as clear and clean as you want your antenna to be working right, you know? I get it. But at the same time, when people are focused so much on that, they're living in a realm of duality, because they're saying they're living good as opposed to living bad, or living bad as opposed to living good. You're in duality, you know,
Right. And
instead
not
of just
not
learning.
only when you're talking, sorry to interrupt, but this is also something very important for me. For example, like I lived for like a year or something, really I followed a plant-based diet, right? And that was really like, that's already is a lot of years goes again now, but that some people, really are advocates of that and say like that's the only way to be healthy, for example, right? But actually I got arthritis because I was plant-based. It backfired on me. And indeed, like what Bill Cam now says in the live chat, balance is key. And that is something that we've always been saying. You take a little bit here, take a little bit there. And you have to find out for your own body, your own meat suit, right? What works best. And that also comes to clarity and, being able, to have like visions and stuff. Like for one person, that will be eat as clean as possible, maybe fast, right? Go in deep meditation and something like that. If another person is to get really fucked up drunk, but they might come to the same point, right? But of course, you have to also know how to protect yourself, protect your energy, right? Because for one person can drink, for example, and one person can smoke weed or whatnot, and get certain connections with that, or smoke a bowl of DMT, or go on an ayahuasca trip or whatnot, and you come in contact with the other side of the planes and the realms. But if you don't know how to protect yourself, you're in big trouble, right? And I think the majority of people that do that, because there's a lot of advocates on that right now in this whole new age movement that is popular everywhere on in mainstream and in social media, is this people are tapping into those frequencies and realities, and they don't know anything about their own powers. They don't know how to protect themselves, and they are connecting to entities and deities and whatnot, their frequencies. And before they know it, they are hijacked, and they don't even realize it. They come down on something, right? And they go their own way again, and they're thinking, and they're praising whatever they did. I did some kumbo, I did some ayahuasca trip, I did, and they're putting on social media and all of that, like it's like a social badge because I did this. Rank me is higher. I'm above all of you guys because I actually went to a retreat. But on the same time, they're hijacked as hell, and they have some entity like basically feeding them thoughts in their ears, and they don't even realize it. And suddenly their pot goes differently. Some things may go off, or they actually, like what I've seen myself when I was in the entertainment industry, people just they bounce up, become successful and whatnot, get a lot of physical gains, right? But then deep down, they're miserable as hell, and they will be, hooked on drugs and stuff like that, because actually they don't know what they're dealing with. They took the elevator to success, but have no foundation at all. So you have to be careful. Indeed, once again, balance is key. Transmute your meat suit, right? Isaac is the expert on that point. He can tap on the long way on that for sure.
Yeah, basically, going back onto the Bible, I look at like, it's the Holy Bible, like you're babbling. It's basic instructions before leaving Earth. You have to look at the advanced. Where's the advanced instructions? That's within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. I mean, they make it so hard. Like it's so hard to ascend and to, transmute my meat suit. And it's actually easier than what you think. You don't need all these certain types of substances. Everything you need is inside of you. But the thing is, most, these people are at that certain level of consciousness to where, okay, they're not ready to, be a vegan. They're not ready to be like, okay, I'm not eating meat and things of that nature, but you have to accept that. Don't let it, piss you off to where it's like, wait, how come they're not doing what I'm doing? You know what I mean? And then that's when the ego comes in. That's your lower self, right? That's the so-called veil that has been lifted. The devil, this evil force that you're thinking like, oh man, my life is miserable in this. No, it's only like that because you reflect from within you on the external. Everything that's going on in certain people's life and things of that nature is their own doing. It's their own thoughts, their own decisions. Nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. I mean, that's the unmatrix existence. Everything goes back into, that transmutation of the information that's within you, you know? And going back on what Gary's saying, it's like, yeah, I mean, you don't need to be focused on the exoteric. You need to be focused on the esoteric. I mean, that's the key. Balance is key. That's the yin and the yang. It's in all the certain, religious and teachings and practices. It's like it's all basic symbolism. Signs and symbols rule the world. And Pim, you know this.
I do. Yeah, I've studied symbols for years. Like
Mm,
me personally, I came from being a designer, right? And then eventually, of course, I wanted to understand design in general. So I studied design, and then actually you come across to a lot of so-called Masonic knowledge, right? Like why are not even like on just on symbols, but especially like on architecture. Why are buildings built a certain way, right? And then you see that a lot of this Masonic knowledge, or maybe it's not Masonic, maybe it comes from somewhere else, right? I don't want to call it everything Masonic once again. But then you see, like, okay, it's embedded in what we see almost all around us. And it has an effect. It has an effect when you walk on a step of 33 steps into a door with two pillars on the side. It has an effect on the physical, but also the spiritual, right? And I'm sure you can for sure tell me something about this. Like we're not gonna say like what kind of rituals you actually practice as a Mason. They can look that up themselves if they want to really know, because for sure there's some YouTube channels that do that, right? But does it influence you when you do a ritual? Like, do you feel something changing in yourself, or just on the moment? Can you talk about that? I think that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, you do. You feel a reverence. To be honest with you feel a reverence for God. To be honest with you, there is a connection there with God when you're going through these rituals. You feel like you're being told something by God, you know, and so it's a very reverent atmosphere. Um, and so it's the same thing when you walk, like you said, you go to some of these you know, you walk through the pillars in some of these buildings, and there's a like it's the same thing. You get this feelings of reverence and godliness. It's like larger than life. It's, you know what I'm saying? It touches you spiritually, and I think it's kind of an archetype too. You know, these old designs. I think that they are designed to do that to the psyche. You know, like if you've been to Washington D.C., I don't even remember what building it is, but it's got that huge freaking door, that big freaking metal door. And if you stand next to that thing, it says something to you. You know, it speaks to
I know
you.
exactly what door you mean, even though I've never been to Washington D.C. And I don't know about Isaac, but I have a feeling he's not been there also physically. But I'm for sure, he's been there with projective viewing and knowing kind of the frequencies and energy that is in there. Because of course, that's also another interesting topic itself. You don't always have to be everywhere physically. If you learn how to travel, like in the astral, or some other projection viewing, then you can actually obtain that energy, or at least witness it from a distance, right? And I think that a lot of people are not even capable of doing that, anything like that, because majority of people will walk through 33 steps of a building within two pillars into a door, and they are on their phone and they don't feel anything, because so many people are so detached from reality that they don't even realize, what's happening with their meat suit, with their body, right? Like me personally, I'm not don't have the best connection to my meat suit of controlling it, but I have the best connection of feeling it. So I feel, I'm oversensitive with my feelings on that part, not emotions, but just what's happening with frequencies in my body. So I'm very aware. Like if certain person walks in a room, it instantly changes me sometimes, like for the better or for the worse. And then I'm, if it's for the worse, I'm my spider sense is tickling. I'm aware of what's gonna happen, and I will look around everything, and I know where the exit is, and if I have something on me if needed. But for sure, Isaac once again knows a lot more about this topic.
Yeah, that may be another show to start tapping to the ley lines and the grids, and you're getting into the higher etheric and astral projections, remote viewing, remote influencing, remote sensing. That's the advanced instructions, not the basic instructions.
Right.
Back on that, yes,
Remote
I
viewing was
never.
exactly the word I was missing in my vocabulary
Yeah,
for the dyslexic
yeah,
ability.
from a distance. But you're right. You have to be like attuned with yourself, and most individuals are not in tune with themselves to pick up on certain frequencies, to pick up on certain energies and vibrations. You know, so when you get certain things going through the doors and walking up there, you're doing rituals unknowingly, and you're actually putting that out. Even if you're not aware of it, you're actually, submitting yourself. You're bringing that consent. You know, a lot of people do rituals every day. Just reading something on the, you know, TV or newspaper, and then you go walk around, you go outside, you go in your car, shut the door, come out like you just did a ritual right there without even knowing it, because a lot of it's subliminal. You got a lot of targets to where it's predictive programming, it's movies. It's the television. The media. Media is a magical type of deal. It's Hollywood. And that's a whole nother different broadcasting that we can get into as well. I mean, there's so much topics that we can, kind of chime in just off of like the masonry concept, the occult concept, the esoteric knowledge. It's like deep. The rabbit hole is deep, and that's what unmatrix yourself is representing. It's like you're getting deep. How far can you go? Are you ascending or are you descending? Get right or get left.
Yeah, and then we have to be careful on that point. And also, of course, the people in the comments, that were like, "Oh, that was a weird interference back a few minutes back." Like, of course, you have too much information and not enough transformation for most people. Like people love all this information, but actually they cannot handle it, because if you cannot apply the information, then what's the use? Like if you're just a junkie that's addicted to information, there's no ending, but you never will level up yourself. If you don't cannot upgrade yourself, like basically upgrade yourself is like a metaphor for unmatrix yourself, right? Like unmatrix yourself is master yourself slash upgrade yourself in a spiritual way, not in a physical way. If you want to physically upgrade yourself, yeah, go ahead, get a neural link in your head with Elon Musk, and tap in with the AI and see what happens to your life. I would not suggest to do it. But yeah, I think this was, like once again, I think this is a very interesting talk, and we can go into a lot of different kind of subjects, especially with you, Gary. I think also for sure we love to have you back, and talk about different subjects. Is there for now still anything you would like to touch on yourself? Like, of course, like I've been interviewing somewhat majority of the last hour. Is there something that you love to speak on, or promote? Of course, like we touched on the beginning, you had this clothing line. I don't know if it's still live. Yeah, just tell me, what do you like to speak on? Is there something you want to promote or whatnot?
I would like to speak a little bit, as Isaac was Isaac was speaking there, I was thinking about perception, and really I think a lot of it is about our perception, it's our perception is kind of like our antenna, it sort of opens us up to be able to communicate with what's around us. So, and a lot of people's perception, if we don't know who we are, what we are, um, somebody will tell us who we are for us. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a religion or politics or something like that, you go around and you look at the world through the lens of whatever that is. You know, if you're a dogmatic Christian, for example, you're going to see the world totally different from somebody who, sees themselves as one with the all, you know? So to me, it's a lot about perception and cultivating your perception and nourishing that and, developing it and putting the time into being really honest with yourself and being able to let go of the false self, because really that's what it's really all about is letting go of all of the excess, the ego and coming into your oneness with what is and being, just pure, presence in the moment, because only then can you receive the frequencies that are everywhere around you. If your mind is distracted by your perception of what God is, or these, maybe you have certain creeds you live by, you just look at the whole world through that lens. It's like, for example, if you ask a certain faith, maybe a certain religion, what do you think about this certain subject? You already know their answer. If you know what their religion is, you know their answer on everything. They're just this compartmentalized thing.
Right.
It's but anyways, and then you get back to the,
Doesn't make them NPCs. Sorry to interrupt, but does the term NPC, non-playable character? So those people that actually are religious, would you call them NPCs?
um yeah,
Quick question.
that's funny. Honestly, I call them profane, and I've gotten some heat for that, but you know what it means is it just means outside of the temple. They're outside of the temple, you know.
Right.
They
But then
yeah, they don't.
if you look at it like that, because I know that term, like for sure, of course, the people that ever listen to Bill Cooper knows that term as well, right? Like profane indeed is like basically the heathen for the Freemasons, right? Like whatever is not part of Freemasonry, you call them the profane, right? I see Isaac Levitt because he knows the same. But yeah, so yeah, this is an interesting one itself. But I lost my train of thought a little bit there because of the level of Isaac. But
But also,
no, no, I know it back. Sorry. So basically, what I was wanted to ask you is like, okay, so you know that me and Isaac, we know a little bit more about that, and of course, yeah, we do not share everything that we know about the subject as well, because indeed, you don't want to know, not every tool belongs in everybody's toolbox, as Isaac always loved to say, and that's for sure definitely the case. You cannot share the knowledge with everybody like that because they will abuse it, and we have to be aware of that. But would you say then, us as being a matrix, me, Pim, and then Isaac next to me, are we profane as well? Or because we understand and know what's going on, kind of like in the Masonic work, the great work, are we no longer profane?
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's not, it's not so, you know, dry and cut, like a lot of people might think, because I have a lot of people that I consider brothers, that aren't Masons, and because a lot of them have way more knowledge than I do, you know, but I wouldn't say that at all.
But you would say then that basically the goal of being a Freemason is to obtain as much knowledge as possible,
Yeah,
or not?
yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, the
But
knowledge
also
of
apply
self.
it, because once again, of course, like knowledge is power, but only if you apply it, and the majority of the people don't
And
apply any
that's
of the knowledge.
and that's exactly what it's about. It's about that journey and that process and learning that, but you got to start somewhere. And even if it's just going, like for a lot of guys, going to lodge and eating green beans and having some food and shaking hands, sometimes that evolves. Those seeds get planted. Even outside of Freemasonry, it's the same thing. Just talking to a fellow human being, and being kind to them, and then introducing them to the world of, self-knowledge and stuff like that. Really. I think
Yeah,
that should,
I just pinned another comment here from the live chat from Bill Cam. He's saying, "Are the profane exoteric?" I think that's a good
yes,
question because, of course, you have
yes,
the esoteric and the exoteric. So you would say so. So the
absolutely.
people basically that have the esoteric knowledge are no longer profane. Is that the correct view?
Yes, that is true.
Cool.
Because,
Then
I
I
mean,
have,
really,
yeah, go ahead.
it's about building the temple that's built without hands, where there's no tool, there's no sound of the tools hitting it, it's silent. This temple's getting built in complete silence. So it's not any external concept, obviously. But
Right.
yeah, it's esoteric.
But then also from an esoteric perspective, would you say that like that the non-profane, so the suns, right? What you also talked about before, is that like the great grand architect of the universe? That is the actual God, the God.
You
Not
saying
to
that?
say, yeah, yeah, just throwing that out there a little bit, but yeah, okay, cool. That's enough for me. But I think we have to. There's one more comment I would like to touch on from actually early on from Stunning right here, and he was asking, "Can you talk about what was buried underneath Solomon's temple?" Like for me personally, I think that Solomon's temple is very esoteric, and I don't believe that ever was built. But what is your take on that? And could you reply to this fella in our live chat? That would be great for them.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Um, and I'm 100% with you there. And that's where a lot of confusion, it keeps people from elevating and progressing, is because they take all this stuff literally. Like, like there is absolutely no archaeological evidence whatsoever that Solomon's temple ever existed, you know? Um, and there's no archaeological or any evidence that Moses existed. I know a lot of people hate that, man. And they will argue with you, but dude, I mean, the facts is the facts. And, people will say, did Jesus exist? Well, maybe, maybe. I mean, some scholars, believe it or not, actually say no. Some say yes. But the point is that it's not cut and dry. It is still questionable. Did he exist? I'll accept that he did, you know, but that doesn't mean everything else that's wrote about him is true, you know.
Right. Yeah, of
But
course. Like, yeah, maybe he existed, but the so-called healing and the magic that he appeared to have done, is that really true? I think
the
that's the main.
divine things, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree on that point, and especially because if you look at history, there's a lot more to be found about actually the Romans than actual the historical so-called Jesus, right? But then
Right.
again, I think it's personally, I don't know about Isaac, but I'm pretty sure he's on the same level. It's like archetype, right? There's so many religions that have this so-called Jesus figure, and we're not going to do the route of saying, like what Zeitgeist, Jordan Maxwell and Zeitgeist was saying, that is actually true, because that has been debunked as well. A lot of these, archetypical Jesus figures actually had a different story, so it's not all connected like they want to put it out there. Especially the new age movement loves to put it out like that. You becoming the new Jesus yourself, like it's a an office that you can fill in yourself. But that's of course to the whole point. Like on one hand, I think we are supporting that somewhat, because like most people look for an external savior, right? And they're looking for the comeback of Jesus. But in actual fact, you have to save yourself, right? And I think that's exactly the matrix part. Like you have to figure things out yourself, and therefore ascend, or transcend, descend, whatever you need to do in this physical life, right? What is your thought on that part for both of you guys? I'm curious to hear from both of you.
Yes, that's the unmatrix yourself existence, And I'm looking at certain individuals that may have or not existed. I believe there is like a lot of individuals of that nature that had these divine, godly gifts and things, but it's just like those one or particular individuals are like just propped up being like famous or something, you know? Oh, look at this guy. I'm like, what about everybody else that goes unseen? You know what I mean? It's like, you got the Unmatrix Yourself platform here, but they're focused on Vlad TV. You know what I mean? They're focused on Adam 22. They're focused on Drink Champs. What about the guys that's, what I'm saying, on that like the other platform of existence, you know what I mean? That has a certain same particular knowledge or even more advanced instructions. But we're not chasing likes, you know what I mean? We're not chasing likes. We're not, clout chasing things. We're actually of that illumination, the Illuminati. Like, ooh, who's these guys? They're like the boogeyman, because you got to think about it. Not everybody's ready for certain knowledge. Not everybody's ready to, receive the unmatrix treatment. So we share. We just dropping little jewels. We drop, certain gems. You know what I mean? But at the same time, don't pass pearls before swine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when it comes to, like, for example, people say, well, all right, then they get mad and then they say, well, you can't prove Pythagoras existed either, Okay, but that's different because he's not a savior figure. He's not somebody that your salvation depends on, I'm willing to admit that Pythagoras is a mythical figure, even though I honestly, apparently some people think there's a lot of evidence for it, and there may be, I don't know, but there is a difference, and I think people have a hard time uh, with that. They want to throw everybody in the same category just as a rebuttal.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. By the way, let me see one more comment there. That might be interesting. Where these individuals are matrix, they found their path, and many follow copy and paste with no results. So I guess Bill here is talking about, like these figures like Moses and Jesus and all the archetypes of them. That's a good question though. Like, were they a matrix? I think the whole, like, personally, of course, you guys can also tap on that later. But personally, I think there's all these archetypal characters, right? That we hear in all these religions and stories. Actually, they are telling the matrix story, right? And therefore, like, even though we're not religious, we actually do take the hidden gems from all these religions, right? But yeah, were they actually a matrix themselves? Well, if they physically never existed, then how can you be a matrix, right? That's kind of hard. So I think, like, we have to take the lessons from all these, books, right, and see how we can apply it to ourselves. But of course, you have to be careful what parts you take serious, right? Because if you look at Christianity, and you take, the first book, right, and see what God did to do all the villages, etc., then he was a true killer. So if you want to go apply that yourself, yeah, that's not really the Matrix story. But yeah, anyway, so I posted all your links up in here, Gary. If there's anything else you would like me to promote, because I've put in here your YouTube channel, your Instagram, and your TikTok. Yeah, once again, like, is there anything else you currently are working on, or you would love to promote or talk about? Then please go ahead.
I appreciate that. And there's not anything at the moment. I'm just trying to get my, YouTube, I'm doing that. I'm doing my thing there and trying to grow on that, trying to keep progressing on that, trying to do better, bring better material. Like I said, it's about personal revelation. And that's all I'm trying to do is be an example of somebody who is receiving their own personal revelation. So if people want to just watch that, give my own experience, my own interpretation of the scriptures, that's something I enjoy. It's not saying that you have to believe that what I'm saying is true. It's just saying that we can have our own personal revelation about these things. If you dig what I'm saying, then that's cool, But hey, you can have your own personal revelation about it as well. as long as you're thinking outside the box, that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, for sure. Like I follow you on all the platforms, and I suggest everybody that's digging this interview and slash episode for sure will do the same. I think you drop a lot of hidden gems here and there. In general, you're just a very interesting guy, man. So I appreciate you once again to be on the show that you took on the invite. Isaac, you have something still left for this episode to say?
I just wanted to say I appreciate Gary, you know, actually coming up to the platform, and you're actually one of the few that wasn't, scared. I don't know what it is, if we're like intimidating certain, guests that we approach and say, hey, would you like to do an interview? And they just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? It's like, I really respect you for that. So, just showing that you know what I'm saying, stepped up to the plate. You actually represented your background. You share certain things on a level that, this is what the people need. This is what people need to see. I mean, we're just regular people. We're regular individuals. We're human beings. We're not human doing. And this is just the beginning. This is just that connection that we're going to have with the Unmatrix yourself, platform. We're building slowly. It's not fast. It's not something that, the faster the growth, the harder the fall. No, we're slowly building, and we're slowly bringing more people together to connect with the Unmatrix tribe, Unmatrix your life, Unmatrix your family, and just bring like your own special gift, your own truth. And there's no ego here. There's no separation. There's no, okay, I mean, he's a Freemason. Let's talk about something else. No, we want to know what you have to share and what you have to bring, because we all have certain keys, pieces, to that transmutation of the meat suit, upgrading your reality. And that's what the DMT is about. Speaking from the heart, we have to connect to that, and that's what we represent. This is just the beginning. So know that, we're honored to have Gary, with us, and this isn't the end. We're gonna do more connections and collaborations in the future. So I appreciate everybody tuning in to the DMT session.
Exactly, definitely. I think that's well spoken, Isaac. Yeah, once again, like indeed, like a lot of people, I guess they are afraid of masculinity because apparently, whenever we approach them, they were all outspoken and cool on their own platform. But once we say like, when you're gonna join on and have a conversation with us, then they back down. So yeah, kudos to you, Gary, for actually joining our show, and definitely it was very interesting. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and your time for sure. And we hope to have you back. And yeah, it was great, and all the audience as well. Thank you for joining us live. Everybody that could not talk watch the view live. See you guys in the feedback. Please comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Hopefully, this will also give some good new views to you, Gary. I'm for sure will add your links as well in the description. And we hope to see you back soon. And this was the second episode of the second season. Thank you all. For me, it's my evening. For you two guys in the US, it will your day is just starting. So enjoy your Sunday, and hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. We're live on Leader. Peace.